Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of council for the Township of Malahide on March 19th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. We'll begin with O Canada. Please stand if you can.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. And just before we move on with the full agenda, just a couple of reminders. I know it's already been a couple of years since we fully reviewed our procedural bylaw and adopted, and I know it's kind of easy to forget what we agreed to, but so just a couple of refreshers. So yes, I think we've all agreed that we expect parliamentary language at all times from everyone. The announcement section, I think you have a note in front of you, just as a reminder. So the announcement sections is for upcoming community events, recognition of achievements, expression of gratitude, condolences, general information regarding conferences or seminars attended, or presentation of awards. So if there are any members of council have any concerns or questions on specific topic, then we can always reach out to the CAO, and then we'll, in advance of the agenda, so then we'll be able to determine if there's action required or decision or debate required from council, and then we'll put that on the agenda where appropriate. So again, that was a change from before, so a good little refresher is always useful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we will then proceed with the approval of the agenda. Any changes, additions? Yep. Is there one change? No?
So there's two changes, just an amendment that was received in respect to the public hearing application D13 MVO 226 and an amendment to relocate report PW 2613 MCP concession stand EIO to section H delegations.
Right, so that will enable us to have a council decision right after the two delegations, rather than having our delegations wait until much further down. So yes, being respectful of everybody's time. So thank you for that suggestion. Okay, so if there's nothing else, then resolution for the agenda.
That the March 19th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be approved as presented with the following amendments. Amendment comments received from the town of Elmer regarding public hearing application D13 MVO 2-26. Amendment to relocate report PW 26-13 MCP concession stand EOI to section H delegations.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Lewis moves, Councilor Serna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. This brings us to disclosure of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have one under G, the meeting to consider the Baxter Drain.
That is noted. Thank you. Anyone else? And next, we go to announcements. There were none Okay, so that was part of the change to agenda. Okay, so then we go to adoption of minutes. We have the minutes from our meeting on March 5th. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, mover and seconder, please. Councilor,
Resolution.
the resolution before we do that, trying to be very efficient.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on March 5th, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you. Mover and seconder for that. Councilor Wilson moves. Councilor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. This brings us to section G, public meetings. The first public meeting is a meeting to consider the Baxter Drain. Mr. Sprague, welcome.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Over to you.
Tonight's meeting is the consideration of the Baxter Drain. So the Baxter Drain is an existing municipal drain that was last constructed in 1925. So it's not in great condition. The landowner Walker Farms, as well as the landowners Doan and Jana and Doan, they requested an improvement to the drain. So as a result of such, there was a request signed. The top end was an extension. There was a petition signed for the last stretch through the last farm because there was a drain there, but it was never municipal. And they signed a request and petition. So we're here tonight to consider a new drain. So essentially we're going to start at the Lern Drain, which is down by Chalet Line, and then run through the lands of Mr. Ham, Mr. Walker, McCollum, Verstegen, Doan, and Doan at the top end. So in total, we're installing about 2,700 meters of closed tile drain with numerous catch basins along the course to replace the existing 1925 drain. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that. Any questions? Comments? None? Anyone attending the meeting? Have any questions or wanted to add any comments? Nope. Councilor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, just a question to John. A closed drain. What do we mean by a closed drain?
It's through the worship. It's a tile drain. So sometimes it's a
Tile.
pipe drain. We generally refer to them as either an open drain or a closed drain. So, this is a closed drain. So it's a tile drain.
Okay, the reason I ask because I had one put in along some lots, and it was a solid pipe, which really didn't do anyone any good. The only thing it did is took water from the catch basin of the road and took it back into the other lines. So sorry to bring this up, but that's why I asked that.
No, that's no problem. Generally, through your worship, we put sealed drains in when we do lot severances because we don't know what the landowners are going to build if they plant trees, plant a hedge. Tile drains that we're installing on this drain, which is a concrete tile and it has joints.
Mm-hmm.
Trees can find that very easily. So, we lead the plugging and stuff like that. Whereas a lot, we anticipate that they'll plant trees and have that issue. So that's why we do closed drains. And we rely on the grading plan for the lot to get the surface water to all the basins that we set.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? If not, then we have a few resolutions to consider.
That the engineer's report for the Baxter Drain be accepted, and that bylaw 26-16 being a bylaw to provide for the Baxter Drain drainage works be read a first and second time and provisionally adopted.
Mover and seconder for that. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Glinski seconds. All in favor? Motion is carried.
That the tenders for the construction of the Baxter Drain be requested for April 8th, 2026.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the last one.
That the Court of Revision for the Baxter Drain be scheduled to be held on April 16th, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Mover and seconder for that. Counselor Leach moves, Counselor Cerna seconds, all in favor. The motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweet. Next on the agenda, we have a couple of public hearings. The first one we'll call to order with the resolution, please.
That the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Malahide be called to order at 7:12 PM and that Mayor Dominique Giguere be appointed chairperson for the Committee of Adjustment.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So the purpose of this hearing is to consider an application for a minor variance as submitted by the owner, George Blatz, relating to the property known municipally as 212 Elk Street. We have Mr. Steele, welcome. Can you provide us an overview and let us know if there were any comments received?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This application submitted is for a very unique situation where the property consists of one parcel that is located within both the town of Aylmer and the township of Malahide. The southern portion currently has an accessory structure on it, and the owner is proposing to build a dwelling at the rear of the property in the portion that's within the township of Malahide. The purpose of the application is to permit an increase in lot coverage of approximately 29%, whereas the bylaw requires 20% coverage for property in the A1 zone, as well as permit a reduced minimum floor area of a dwelling of 81 square meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum of 90 square meters. Some initial comments were received after the submission of the report. Capper Street Conservation Authority has commented they have no concerns with the application. Additional comments were received by the town of Aylmer, raising some concerns with proposed development, issues including that the property doesn't currently have frontage on an open public road. And so staff note that while the property is located in separate municipalities, it is based on information provided by the applicant, one parcel, and so would have frontage on a public road and would have a legal right of access to the southern rear portion of the property. Additionally, town member staff note about that municipal services will not be provided by the town of Aylmer to the portion of the property within Malahide, including sanitary, water servicing, as well as garbage collection. The proposed dwelling would be serviced by private water or private well and septic systems, so no cross-border servicing is proposed, and the owner would be required to have garbage collection obtained privately for the proposed dwelling. Additional comments were raised on emergency access. Planning staff reviewed this with both fire department and building department staff, and are recommending a condition be added to any approval granted for the variance that any civic addressing and emergency service access requirements be addressed to the satisfaction of the township prior to any development taking place on the portion of the property. And so based on the staff's evaluation, no other comments were received. And so staff are recommending that the application be approved subject to the conditions outlined within report as well as added to the agenda. And that concludes our presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of council.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't know if do we have the applicant or agent?
The
Yep.
applicant's in.
Sorry, thank you. Did you wish to add anything to that or, okay? Anyone else in attendance wishes to speak to this application? Okay, no one online. So I'll turn it to committee members. Any questions or comments? Councillor Leach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It doesn't look like there's a substantial amount of space to get around the barn shed structure to access the proposed dwelling. Is there a plan for that?
Through you, Madam Chair. So currently it's just a 3.5 meter setback between the existing building and the interior side lot line. And based on the information provided, it's staff's understanding that the owner is proposing a driveway that would come between the building and the property line to the rear of the property. And as part of that condition that has been proposed by staff, reviewed further by the building department and the fire chief to ensure that that is an appropriate width that's necessary to provide any kind of emergency access to the proposed dwelling.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through to Eric. I guess, Eric, you're telling us that there's enough room for the fire department to function there properly. It's going to have its own well and its own septic. The only sticking point could be the garbage disposal, and that can probably be handled no problem. So is that the way you read it, the way I read it?
Through Madam Chair, yes, that's part of or we believe that with the private servicing aspect that there would be no cross-border servicing proposed. And then with the emergency service access, again, that's the intent of that additional condition is to ensure that that is reviewed further by staff and that there are no concerns prior to any kind of development taking place.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, so thank you for that overview. So we'll ask the committee to make the decision now with the resolution, please.
That report number DS 26-12 entitled Minor Variance Application of George Blatz relating to the property located at part of Lot 86, Concession STR in the geographic township of Malahide, southern portion of 212 Elk Street, Malahide be received. And that the Township of Malahide Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application number D13 MV02-26 to permit a proposed maximum permitted lot coverage of 29%, where a maximum of 20% is required, and to permit a minimum dwelling floor area of 81 meters squared, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum of 90 meters squared. And that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner applicant obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years from the date of the decision to the satisfaction of the chief building official. And 2, the structure be constructed as per the details shown in the drawings as provided with the application to the satisfaction of the chief building official. And 3, that the owner obtains separate civic addressing for the proposed dwelling unit from the appropriate approval authority, and that the owner provide adequate emergency access to the proposed dwelling unit to the satisfaction of the Township of Malahide Fire Chief and the chief building official.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Council Wilson moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. Any further comments or debate? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Move right into this.
So we'll move to our next hearing, another minor variance application. So can I go straight with the purpose? Yep. So the purpose of this hearing is to consider an application for a minor variance as submitted by the owner, Gary Gerard, relating to the property known municipally as 48855 John Wise Line. So Mr. Steele, again, can you provide an overview and let us know if there were any comments received?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This minor application has been submitted to permit an increase in the floor area of a accessory or a additional residential unit. Proposal is increase it to a size of 108 square meters, whereas the bylaw requires a maximum floor area of 75 square meters. It's the owner's intent that the purpose of the increase in maximum floor area is to allow for barrier-free accessible design to be incorporated into the construction of the unit. Staff reviewed the application against the 4 tests, as well as consideration of comments. No comments were received from agencies or members of the public at the time of the submission of this report. And so staff will recommend the application be approved, subject to standard conditions. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, members of the committee.
Thank you. Is anyone else here on this application wishes to speak to it?
The agents are on, or the owners are online. They didn't.
Okay, the owners are in attendance, but I'm not sure if you wish to add anything. No, looks like a no. Thank you. Members of the committee, any questions, comments? If none, then thank you to everyone in attendance, and we'll ask the committee now to make the decision with the resolution, please.
The report number DS 26-13 entitled Minor Variance Application of Jessica Crocker and Timothy Brando, Co. 4th G Studio Inc., relating to the property located at Concession 4, Part Lot 7, RP 11R5540, Parts 3 and 4, 48855 John Wise Line, Malahide be received, and that the Township of Malahide Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application number D13 MV01-26 to permit a maximum floor area for an internal secondary dwelling unit of about 108 meters squared where a maximum of 75 meters squared is required, and that the approval shall be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner applicant obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years from the date of decision to the satisfaction of the chief building official, and 2, that the structure be constructed as per the details shown in the drawings as provided with the application, site location, and architectural detail to the satisfaction of the chief building official.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Steele.
And exit the committee too.
And those were the hearings we have this evening, so we can adjourn the committee with the resolution, please.
That the Committee of Adjustment for the Township of Malahide be adjourned and that regular meeting of council reconvene at 7:22 p.m.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Glinski seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. This brings us to section H, delegation. So after issuing an expression of interest, we had two respondents. So we have two delegations, and we'll begin with the Icebox. Come on up.
Oh, fair, absolutely fair enough. Thank you, Township. I have a quick presentation that is inside of your agenda packet. Just wanted to go through and give a little bit more substance, and obviously come and see everyone with obviously the proposal that we submitted. We are the Icebox, and so just as a high summary of it, we're a local-based company in St. Thomas, operating concessions facilities for the last 4 years in St. Thomas. And obviously you can remember my name, as we were the ones who just operated last summer, completing that expression of interest with this new one up now. We're known for our higher end concession of made in-house ice cream and gelato, fresh cut fries, and now very excitingly, Illy coffee. So we're known to go a step above and to make sure that what we're offering, nothing's just we're going with the middle ground. We go for a higher ground and still offer great competitive prices. And then we're more than just an operator, but a partner, and that I'll kind of explain in a little bit here with some of our event side of the house. So in summer 2025, you can see if anyone was in attendance to the concession last year. That's Emily there. Emily ran it for a large stake of the summer last year. So we served over 5,000 orders with all of the facility users, which was great. We ended up being open 7 days a week. Obviously, if for those who have great memory, last year we were saying at first we were going to open up for about 5 days a week, knowing about facility usage, talking about vending machines, all that sort of stuff. We found that with the facility users, they drummed up enough support that they wanted us to be open. We gave it a shot. We were able to show that even on the slower days, we were able to get close to break even. So then we said, all right, for the hours and for obviously facility usage, we were then open 7 days a week. Obviously open a lot longer on the weekends, but in the evenings, on the weekdays, once baseball usage was done. We invested last year in the purchase of a soft serve machine, which was great for all of, I think it was a week. We were the only ice cream in town, and then the local convenience store the grocery store added ice cream too. So we're like, okay, there's two options, but we were very excited to bring that, and the facility users enjoyed that. And then we've partnered with a lot of the facility users in fundraising for their causes. So that's the private tournaments that came on site. We did a lot of, we'll handle the food for you, because a lot of them would bring barbecues before. So we'd handle the food for them, donate a portion of the causes back to them, that sort of stuff. So we did that and grew some great relationships that way. What we have planned, if accepted and given this opportunity again with this expression of interest, is we'll continue to operate 7 days a week. The expansion of our cafe line with our new Illy partnership, Illy is an Italian brand that's fairly high end, and with it, we've already been seeing huge strides in enjoyment in our St. Thomas operation that we'll be bringing it here, so that we'll have more coffee options, especially for everyone to enjoy, not just facility users, but the general town. Further promote and work with the facility users to grow their size and facility usage, working with our connections. We know that there's a shortage of facilities and all the spaces across the area. So any way that we can promote, if someone's having shortages in one of our other facilities, we obviously want to help and bring it over here as well. And then expand our event-driven business in 2026 with National Ice Cream Day, which is one of my passion projects and one of the things that I'm most excited about, which is why I have a whole section on that. So July 21st is National Ice Cream Day. It is a day that within the Icebox, we're trying to flagship as to make it the equivalent of the Smiley Cookie campaign of Tim Hortons, but for us. And so what we're doing with that one is every location, because all of our spots now have soft serve, every ice cream that's ordered on that day, $1 will be donated to the Minor Sports League. That's where their facility house. So of course here, that's the Springfield Stingers. So they would be the recipients of that. And so we're going to be working, if awarded, we'll be working with them to promote, for them to bring their fan base, just for the general to come and to enjoy. And so we do have lofty goals with this, but this is something that we plan to compound every year to continue to grow. And then finally, one of the other ones that we'll be looking to do as we push across the board is that we do have now an Icebox Signature Sundae and Dirt Cup, which is going to be a huge fan favorite for the hot summer and that. This one, what the plan is for this one is that we are contributing 50 cents of every order into a fund for an end of summer bash, which then we can host on the Labor Day weekend or closer to it, obviously depending on facility usage and what we can do for timing. That's all still up in the air, just kind of getting through this last bit, but we plan to do it so that we can host some sort of end of summer enjoyment with it. And that's again, just from treating back the community who obviously treated with us over the whole summer. Again, just in conclusion, that we had a great starting season. We hope to continue to offer this great service with the Malahide Community Place and obviously anything else that may come up with it. We look forward to continuing the partnership and collaboration and hope that we are selected for this. If so, continue to offer a great product, and we've got a lot of great ideas for seeing things grow and do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? No? Thank you so much. We'll do a resolution just to receive your delegation, please.
That the presentation from Marcus Hocko of the Icebox regarding the expression of interest for Malahide Community Place concession stand be received for information.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves. Councillor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So next I'll invite the representatives from Competitive Edge. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. There it goes. Okay. Thanks very much for having us here. And one thing I'd like to say is we are Competitive Edge Sports. We do run sports stores. We also run what we call the arena patineries, which we have in a number of municipal arenas in Ontario. Ingersoll being one. Suzanne is my manager over in Ingersoll. And we also run ice cream shacks. We use Shaw's ice cream from Tillsonburg. I'm sure yours is delicious as well. So one thing I've got to say is when we inspected the concession stand, I was blown away with how clean it is. Many times when we go to look at concession stands, they are a nightmare. And a lot of people try to cover up things, and I sort of peek and I say, yeah, right, this stuff can go. But your stuff is exceptional. And that's the way we keep our locations as well. Cleanliness, of course, in the food industry is paramount. As far as what we offer in our menu is we do our fries in beef tallow. and it's all gluten-free. So our poutine is no wheat in the gravy. It's the original French gravy from Rosehill. We use the top quality curds as well. So we don't have a chunky one. We have one that melts under the gravy. And we use premium product. Unfortunately, we do not cut our own fries, but I noticed that you could have fresh cut fries here. That's a sort of debate whether their fresh cut is better than the premium ones that we buy as well. As far as that goes, that's one of our product items. We also do a smash burger, and we also do hot dogs and chicken fingers. And so the one problem that we did have looking at your site was that it only had one fryer. And so what happens in that situation is we would suggest that we'll put in the other fryer. Now with that, it comes another spout for the fire suppression system and a connection for the gas. So if you do have the space for it, if that's something that you'd be interested in, then you would get our gluten-free French fries. We also have a tremendous relationship with Pepsi and Coke. So as far as putting a vending machine out or having a pop inside the concession stand, we have a great relationship with them. So the product just comes. We also have vending machines as far as snack vending machines as well, gumball machines, and we also have ATM machines. So we can be a lot of things and have a lot of revenues. Now, understanding that the concession, we were worried about the concession and how busy it would be with just 3 baseball diamonds, but you've answered that question, and sounds fantastic. And yes, we normally open in our concession stand 7 days a week. So that's not a problem. We have the staff. We have roughly 30 employees. So as far as doing community things, we also do community things with our concession stands as well, for the local hockey associations or whatever sport happens to be going on. Some of our concession stands operate year-round. So there's lacrosse and ball hockey and baseball and pickleball. Pickleball is a game here in town. We're a big supplier of pickleball supplies, so come and get your pickleball paddle. As far as our cleaning, and we make sure that the facility is cleaned and looked after just the way, when we leave, it'll look the same as what you've got it right now. So we're diligent that way. We're diligent with our fryers and our oil or the beef tallow that we cook in to make sure that it's cleanliness. And so there's no, the reason we use 2 fryers, one with the beef tallow, that keeps those fries and that fryer clean and respect that there's no wheat falling into it, where the other products all have wheat on them. And so you got to be a little more diligent with that fryer to make sure that you get, so that stuff will just burn constantly. What else can we do for you? I think you've got 2 great people here to do your cooking for you and to make your facility a great facility. So put my hand to my opponent, I guess. I don't know. But it's a great opportunity. You've got a great community. Our goal would be to, I don't know what Aylmer Hockey Arena is like, but that would be one of our goals as well, is to apply for that. We are moving in this direction. We have places in Port Elgin and Southampton. So on Fridays, my route is Ingersoll to Port Elgin. And I make deliveries and I make sure the places are all operating properly. Suzanne's a great manager, looks after the staff well. And so I leave most of it in her hands Monday to Friday until I get here. So I would be doing the same thing in Springfield. I'd be coming down to making sure that it's running properly and ready for the weekend. Thank you very much. And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you so much. for
Thank you.
being Here.
Have a great evening all.
Well, so we'll receive your delegation with the with the resolution.
Hey, John, can you just turn that back on properly? Thank you. That the presentation from Dean Bresenson of Competitive Edge Sports regarding the expression of interest for Malahide Community Place concession stand be received for information.
Thank you. Move and seconder, Councilor Serna moves, Councilor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so as we said at the beginning, so we don't have any items under item I or J, so we can go straight to new business.
Yeah.
And, but then in new business, we're moving the last item to the first item so we can proceed with the decision on the MCP concession stand. So Director Godby, with that, your report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. This report is seeking to award the concession services at MCP for this calendar year. I guess first and foremost, I'd like to thank our two prospective contractors, I guess, for coming today. They both, I think, bring forward a good possible solution for us. And ultimately, when it came down to our detailed analysis of this, it really came down to which one of these is going to generate us more rental income. We recognize that both are very competent and capable. So with that, we're looking at a monthly lease payment of $450 a month from the Icebox versus $425 a month under Competitive Edge Sports. So with that, staff are satisfied that the relationship can move forward and that we can have another successful season of operating the concession at MCP. And with that, would recommend making the award to the Icebox for the 2026 summer season. I know it's all nice and good things so far, but I would be remiss if I did not just highlight the one area of the report, that recognizes that while we do receive some lease income from this, this is still an overall net loss for the municipality. Just by the time we factor in capital costs, equipment maintenance, and just the general utilities and upkeep required, we just want to make sure that it is clear that this is more of a community service, and that's why we are recommending, in the report on page 204 of my report, or Dustin's report, I should say, page 63 of your agenda. We're not discussing option 3, which is not operating the concession stand, because we do recognize that it does provide a valuable service to the community. So with that, we are pleased to make that recommendation to execute the agreement with the Icebox for this season. And if there's any questions, we will happily answer.
Okay, thank you for that. And I too want to thank both applicants. There was a time not too long ago where we were facing not having any concessions. So the fact that we even have an option is wonderful. I really, really appreciate the interest in serving our community. So we'll begin with questions. Is there anything that needs to be clarified before then I'll ask a member of council to table a motion with your preferred option, and then we'll proceed with a vote. So is there anything first that needs to be clarified? Any questions you have for Director Godby? Counselor Wilson, do you have a question?
Well, it was just more of a comment. The option 3, I was like, oh no. My phone.
So if there are no questions, then the member of council then wants to proceed with proposing your preferred option, Counselor Wilson.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I know it's slightly off topic, but Competitive Edge mentioned about the East Elgin complex. It's like, don't lose this number.
Yes, yes, we do have other facilities who sometimes where it's difficult to have concessions. So yes, we're both of you are invited to keep our number. So is there a motion with the preferred option from a member of council? Do you want to table Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess I'd go with option 1, the icebox.
Do I have a seconder? Counselor Wilson? And is there anything else we need to add to the motion?
I have a resolution.
Okay, so do you want to read it in full then with option 1?
The report number PW 26-13 entitled MCP Concession Stand EOI be received, and that council authorized staff to enter into an agreement with the Icebox for the concession services at Mallard Community Place for the 2026 summer season.
Okay, so we have our mover and seconder. Any further debate or discussions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion is carried. Congratulations, and looking forward to working with you again. And again, as we said, thank you for to Competitive Edge folks. So like I said, we have other venues that may be in need of concession. So I think there's an opportunity to work with you. Certainly, please continue to consider us. Much needed in our area. Okay, so with that, we will go back to then the first item under new business, which is 2026 municipal election. Clerk Adams.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This report discusses the possibility of entering into a restricted acts period, or commonly referred to as a lame duck period. This is dependent on how many current councillors choose to run again and who is ultimately elected. Specifically, at least 5 members must either seek re-election by 2 p.m. on August 21st or be re-elected in order to avoid entering a lame duck period. If neither of these situations occur, council would not be subject to a restricted acts period. However, in order to prepare for this potential restricted period, it is being recommended that a bylaw be prepared delegating authority to the CAO during this time if it's required for those restricted act items. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions on this? Is there anything that needs to be clarified? Yes, so we're only looking at as of August 21st as nomination date, yes. So a resolution then?
The report number Clerk 2602 entitled 2026 Municipal Election Lame Duck Restricted Acts of Council Delegation of Authority be received, and that council directs staff to present the attached bylaw at a future meeting for adoption, delegating authority to staff during any restricted acts period pursuant to section 275 of the Municipal Act 2001.
Yep, Councillor Cerna.
So it's delegating to staff to prepare and delegating to staff within it, but it is basically the CAO within the bylaw that was presented within your report tonight. I think that maybe there was a treasurer option for one of the components, but it's just pull up the actual bylaw. Right. Is that? So there's a few components within it, but it is delegated strictly to the CAO as follows. Was 4 items within there. So it is delegating it to the CAO.
And we'll also get a chance to review the bylaw itself when it comes. Councillor Leach.
I was just wondering about the part 2 that includes the 2022 date.
So through your worship, you mean the second part of possibly being into a lame duck situation?
On page 45. Is that part still active until this one comes into play?
So part 2, so this is to repeal. Right, so.
Just So within that bylaw, that's just repealing the one that was in place and set in 2022, and it was only used during those periods. Yeah.
Okay, so the resolution was read. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion is carried. And then the next item, Clerk Adams, is the pre-election accessibility plan, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. In accordance with Section 12(2) of the Municipal Elections Act, the clerk shall prepare a plan regarding the identification, removal, and prevention of barriers affecting electors and candidates with disabilities, and shall make the plan available to the public before voting day. The Township of Malahid's pre-election report highlights the municipality's commitment to accessibility. The plan aims to ensure all electoral services are accessible, remove the barriers, and provide a positive voting experience through measures such as accessible customer service, alternative voting options, accessible information and communications, and a voter help center. If you have any further questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you for that. Any questions? No questions or comments. So the resolution, please.
That report number clerk 2603 entitled the Pre-Election Accessibility Plan be received.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Leach moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. Any further questions? Debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Next item, Director Gobby, the SCADA system upgrade.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. The purpose of this report is to seek council's authorization to execute an agreement with Accedium Toronto Suma. They are our SCADA provider for our water and wastewater systems for the Township of Malahide, as well as for the Port Burwell and Elmer area secondary water supplies. Essentially where we're at is there is a number of server upgrades, hardware and software components of the SCADA system that we are seeking to have replaced. We've received a quote from Accedium, and staff are satisfied with that quote. The township's procurement bylaw does note that for instances similar to this, where we have the need to have compatibility with existing systems and for hardware and software upgrades, that we can seek exemption from the procurement bylaw in order to have those agreements executed directly with our current vendor who is providing this service and who has essentially built the entire SCADA system for us. The major advantage that we have of a a direct sole source with them is the fact that we are not going to be paying engineering fees for the basically recreation of our SCADA system and for the time it takes for a new vendor to learn all about these systems. What that means for Township of Malahide expenses is we're looking at approximately $17,000 of cost towards Malahide water systems and $35,000 to Malahide wastewater systems. The bulk of the additional cost of this proposal, $70,000 to Elmer area secondary water supply and $70,000 to the Port Burwell area secondary water supply system. As a note, yesterday at the joint board meetings, both Elmer and Port Burwell boards supported the sole sourcing to Accedium to get this work done. Therefore, if passed tonight, we would be in a position to execute the agreement and get this work underway. As we would also like to note that in both cases, for water and wastewater, we are actually coming in under budget. It's well within our budget allocation. So I just, well, you got to spread that good news when you get it. So with that, if there are any questions, I will happily answer.
Thank you for that. Questions? Councilor Leach.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to note that it looks like this system has done a good job of having upgrades be practically minded and replacements and pieces done as needed to be mindful of cost. So it looks like this is a timely full upgrade. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? See none, the resolution?
The report PW 2609 entitled APAM SCADA Central Server Replacement and Hardware and Software Upgrades be received, and that in accordance with the Township's procurement bylaw and the Township of Malahide does hereby support single source acquisition of APAM SCADA Central Server Replacement and Hardware and Software System Upgrades of Actium Toronto Summa, and that the Director of Public Works be authorized to execute the required agreements with Actium Toronto Summa on behalf of the Township of Malahide, Port Burwell Area Secondary Water Supply System, and Elmer Area Secondary Water Supply System for the SCADA upgrades further described in this report.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Glinski seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And the next item, again, Director Gobby, this time the College Line reconstruction in the Amish settlement area.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. As council is aware, staff are currently about to embark upon the first phase or another phase of many to come of the reconstruction of College Line. As we had projected this through our capital budget, the one, I guess, lapse that we had was determination of the road platform width. In discussions with staff, it has been suggested that we would be probably best off to increase the road platform width from our standard 9 meters to 11 meters as we are going through the Amish settlement area here in Malahide. So the purpose of this report is to seek council's direction on that matter specifically. What we're looking at is the next 3 years of construction down College as we start at Springfield Road, as we start at Springfield Road to Walker Road, and then Walker to Carter, then Carter to Springer Hill. We would be looking to rebuild and widen the road to 11-meter platform to allow for the additional space for the buggy lanes. With that, we are looking at some increased costs. On average, we're looking at in and around the area of $75,000 to $80,000 per road segment, which comes out to just shy of an additional $231,000 of projected expense in order to widen that road platform. With that, I would happily answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you for that. Open it up for questions first. Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through you to Jason. Jason, I totally agree with making it wider. We did Glencoe, and it worked well in my opinion, and actually worked last Friday with a couple Amish gentlemen that were carpenter works. We had a good discussion about this, and they do appreciate the wider roads for their own safety, for the schools, for the equipment. And they did not want to see it go back just to the same width. So we even discussed the tree problem. Is there a lot of trees we'd have to take down? Because that's usually contentious, but they thought a lot of them were old and they would make the wood disappear anyway, so.
Through you, Madam Mayor. We have not initiated the design work yet, so I can't really comment too detailed on the impact of roadside ditches or trees or how that may need to be affected. But that's something we will definitely can engage in some conversation with the adjoining property owners. And, you know, in instances where we do remove trees, there's also the ability to replace where it makes sense, where we may have the support of the neighboring property owner and the municipality itself. So we can definitely, if we are given the go-ahead to do this, we can have those conversations with all the relevant parties. And on that note, I would say I appreciate your contact with some of those in the Amish community. One, I guess, glaring omission from this was we did not sit down and discuss this with the Amish Safety Committee. To be perfectly frank, I don't know how to get in touch. In my thought, since I've been here, there has not been a meeting. From my records, it's looking like it's going back as far as even 2019. So if there are contacts out there, I would gladly take this as an opportunity to re-engage with the community so that we could perhaps make sure that we're at least meeting on a semi-regular basis to ensure that their needs are being heard.
Director Sport, did you want to comment on that? I saw you.
I was just gonna tell Mr. Godby, do I have contacts for the safety council for you?
Okay. Councilor Cerna?
Thank you. I was going to echo the same comments that the deputy mayor had, that anything we can do for the Amish community, because they do want the roads safe. Wider is great, even though it's not a separate lane for the buggies. The more room, the better, because there's a lot of foot patrol there, a lot of traffic for them, schools and everything. So, and they do appreciate it. I talked to a lot of them because I got a big neighborhood south of number 3 as well. And, yeah, they appreciate everything we can do for them. And they do appreciate the wider lanes on Glencoe. And, yeah, anything we can do to help them out, they just love it. So keep up the good work. So that's all they keep telling me. So if you can make, College Line wider, I know they're all for it. So not a problem. Thank you.
Councilor Leach?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Does the 77,000 or the 75,000, do those values include engineering, aggregate, and potential drainage, or what's included in those from your position now?
Through you, Madam Chair. Those costs are inclusive of all the additional work. So that is the engineering design. Fortunately, these are relatively simple roads and drainage systems along there. So that is handled in-house by staff. So there's no real cost there. That is mainly attributed to the additional aggregates and the relatively small amount of additional road surface to be tar and chipped at that time.
Thank you.
Any other questions, or Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just so you, Jason. Jason, will the program be similar? Will we be leaving it for 1 year like we're doing in front of the grain facility out in College Line? And will the College Line facility have some asphalt this year, some pavement this year, or some secondary treatment?
Through you, Madam Mayor. That is still out for debate. We haven't made a firm decision on the leaving it for a year. It would be, I believe, my recommendation that we do leave it. They give that extra year of the winter of settlement. Definitely does help, especially when everyone in the area is generally agreeable or they're aware that it's going to happen. That would be my preferred path forward. The section that we did leave last year is to be included in our surface treatment program for this year. So that should, typically we're looking in and around July, August, that the surface treatment contractor moves into Malahide to do those roads, and we can expect that to happen then.
Follow up?
Okay, thank you for that, because I do think it does help. And if a road grader happened to be driving over that section, that probably wouldn't hurt to put their blade down. It's getting tough now, but I noticed a lot of our roads are really got a beating this winter. So I think the longer we can get them packed hard, the better they're going to be, because I'm really amazed some of the boil ups we got in some of the, and everywhere. It's not just our roads. But thank you for that.
Okay, so based on that, then I'll suggest that then we can add to the resolution that staff formally re-engage with the Amish, it's called Safety Council, or Safety Committee, the committee, so that we can validate council direction and then hear if there's anything else that perhaps they had in mind instead, or in addition, we'll see. But there are no further comments or questions. Oh, Councilor Glinski?
Madam Mayor, to Jason, is there any chance of going wider than the 11 meters on that road? Because 11 is kind of, you're playing with half a lane being used.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councilor Glinski. I would have to sit down at the drawing board with Ryan to have a good look at whether we would be able to go wider. I know in previous discussions, the 11 meters does give us, a variance of 4 meters over the typical three. Typically, you'd have 2 3.5 meter wide driving lanes. So we still are getting a solid 2 meters on each side over and above what a standard driving lane would be. It's not common to go that much wider, but it is something we could look at and provide pricing on. Basically, just it's going to be that kind of linear relationship between distance and width. So it could be looked at. But I do think that the 11 meters that has been installed through Glen Collin does seem to be working pretty well without having additional costs over and above what are really necessary.
So we can get some feedback on that as well when with the users of that. Okay, so if there's nothing else, we'll consider a resolution, please.
The report number PW 26-12 entitled College Line Reconstruction Amish Settlement Area be received, and that council directs staff to include the widening of College Line from Springfield Road to Springer Hill Road in future reconstruction projects in order to further support roadside safety with Malahide's Amish settlement area, and that staff re-engage with the Amish Safety Committee to validate this recommendation and their input.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Wilson moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you for that. So that brings us to bylaws. There are 4 bylaws to consider. We'll do that with one resolution, please.
That the following bylaws be now read a first and second time, bylaw 26-16 Baxter Drain, and that the following bylaws be now read a third time and finally passed, bylaws 2601 Avon Drain and 2602 Hotkey Drain, and that the following bylaw be now read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, bylaw 2615 Assuming lands as part of the public highway College Line.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves. Counselor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? The motion is carried. Next is meeting committee of the whole, so we'll need a resolution to move into committee, please.
Resolved that we do now move into committee of the whole.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves, Counselor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So there's one item for the committee to consider this evening, and it is the mailbox policy. Director Godby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. Before you tonight for the committee's consideration is a formalization of essentially what has been happening in Malahide for quite a number of years. And that is the manner in which that we respond to incidents where a mailbox has been damaged due to winter control activities. Generally speaking, there's pretty much 2 ways that we can have a negative impact on a mailbox, meaning smashing them. One of them being where the plow has actually physically made contact with the box or post. And the other is instances where the mailbox can be damaged by the weight of the snow being propelled by the plow. In all cases, when we receive a report, that information comes into staff, and our road staff do respond to the location in order to verify with their eyes as to what they see that has happened. Standard practice in Malahide for as long as those that I work with have known is that if we physically hit the mailbox, it is to be replaced. If it is the weight of the snow which takes a mailbox off a post, it is not replaced by the township. A lot of this is consistent with most municipalities in our area and most municipalities across Ontario. The reason for that being is if a mailbox is taken out by the snow, it's essentially deemed that it hasn't necessarily met the ruggedness criteria in order to withstand what is considered to be a normal operation in our area. We look to Canada Post for their guidelines on location and material and distances and all that for where mailboxes are to be placed. They are considered to be a allowable or a permissible encroachment within the municipal right-of-way, meaning we know that it's not there for the purpose of the road. However, due to the fact that everybody needs their mail and this service is provided from a federal level, we do have some recognition of the fact that it is something that needs to be within the road allowance. So, as I had referenced, we have for at least a decade that I've been able to find, our approach has been If we hit it with the plow, our staff go out, we put up a temporary mailbox, we repair it when we can, and it is replaced with a standard steel mailbox. It's typically that standard black steel mailbox, the little red flag on the side, on a 4x4 pressure treated post. Years ago, in and around 2014, direction had been provided to staff that in instances where somebody had their mailbox taken out and they wanted a replacement, but they did not like our standard replacement materials. At that time, they were offered basically a cash settlement. Currently, that is $30. It has been $30 since that direction was provided to staff back in 2014. And no adjustment has been provided to that compensation rate since then. That kind of jumped out at staff, and one of the things when we're looking to formalize this policy was to do a revision to that reimbursement rate. Based on the numbers that we have crunched internally, we looked at what does it actually take for us to do this. We're looking at staff time to go out and investigate. We're looking at staff time to replace. We're looking at materials. All of this totals up to, I believe I had the number here, of approximately $180. So when we look at that is the cost for us to go out and replace a mailbox and post, assuming that we struck it with a plow and it's sheared off the ground. We got to pull the post out, put in a new post, put a new mailbox on, all those things. We're in and around that $180. Therefore, when you look at compensation, the idea is not to look to cheap out on anything or save money, we're looking at it as what does it cost? What savings would we have if the homeowner did it themselves? Well, we're going to have our labor time saved. We're going to have the cost of a post saved. We're going to have the cost of the mailbox saved. That totals in and around $118 to $130. So therefore, part of our suggestion is that, or our recommendation is that while we go through this process, the reimbursement rate be increased from the $30 from 12 years ago to $125. And that, with the rationale being that, the mailbox, which is $41.99 plus HST, and the 4x4 post, which is $17 or $18 plus HST, plus the savings in staff time, totals up to around that value. So the owner can then do what they want and actually have an appropriate level of funding to do so. I mean, $30 doesn't even get them the mailbox. So from staff's perspective, that is also beneficial, because instead of our staff going out and needing to replace a mailbox, we could have them doing one of the other numerous maintenance tasks that they have to deal with come spring, whether that's plowing or tree cutting, any of those types of things. It's a better use of our staff time. So that has been intrinsically tied to this policy that we're looking to have approved. So the summary is, if we hit it with the plow, we will replace it. If it is taken out by the weight of the snow, we do not replace it. And if it's hit by the plow, I totally forgot about my flow chart on page 93 of your agenda. If we hit it, we replace it, or they can say, we will say, yes, we've struck it. You are entitled to a replacement, or you are entitled to compensation. In which case, we would cut them a check for $125, And at that point, the property owner would be solely responsible for the installation of a new post and a new box that meets all of Canada Post guidelines. But that gives them the flexibility to do more of what they want. There are those who like to have a decorative mailbox. There's those who have more particulars than just a standard 4x4 and a standard steel black box. So it gives that flexibility to property owners while not incurring any additional cost to the township. The flip side of that was if we did not physically hit it, we are not replacing it, and you are not entitled to any compensation. Unfortunately, it just means that perhaps your mailbox required some additional maintenance or an additional way to ensure that it can withstand winter in our area. So this is now before council for your consideration. It's at the committee of the whole, so we're happy to hear any feedback, any questions, comments, concerns that may be out there so that we can at least formalize a process for staff and for the public so that we know how what the desired way in handling these issues are going forward. I'll happily take any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Sernov, then Councillor Glinski.
Okay, so I have first of all, I got to say, I rode in a snowplow one time when I first got elected. And those guys deserve a medal because I was scared out of my mind sitting in that plow because you go one way with the wind, you can see unbelievable. When you're going against the wind, you can't see anything. And I was scared out of my wits. And how they don't hit every mailbox that's in Malahide Township is beyond belief. So my hat's off to these guys because that was amazing. That's a lesson that everybody should know. But anyways, okay, so $30 to replace a mailbox. Okay, so if I don't like the mailbox, all right, you're going to give me $125. And that's going to buy me a post and a little cheapy mailbox, right? And I got to do all the work myself. I got to get in my truck, and diesel fuel is $2.12 a liter. Okay. And I got to go up to the Home Hardware, and I know what 4x4 posts cost. And I got to go and get the post, get the mailbox, and I'm sure they're more than $30. And then with my aneurysm, my heart surgery, my hernia operation, and all that stuff, and I got to do it myself for $125, not going to happen. Okay. And the other thing is, if I have a decorative mailbox, I'm going to get a little black crappy box. It's okay to say that word, isn't it? Thank you. So it doesn't make sense if I got a nice fancy John Deere tractor mailbox and you guys wipe it out. And I'm not going to settle for a $30 poor looking little black mailbox. So that somewhere something's not right to me. I got to do all the work, and I'm not, you're taking away a good mailbox and you give me a lesser one. It's like you're going to damage my Lamborghini and say, well, we're going to replace it with a Prius. It just doesn't work out that way.
So I think there is an attempt to recognize that. That's why it's $125. So you can buy the box that you want with the post.
But then I got to.
Yes.
Then I got to do all the work to do it.
Correct. So
if I can't do it because of my health problems, then I got to hire it done.
right.
So maybe 125 is not good enough.
Yes. I think what I'm hearing is that there may be a third option missing, if I understand correctly, because what if the individual is unable, physically doesn't have the tools, but also does not want a smaller box? So we maybe, I don't, do you want to hear Councillor Glinski first, or do you want to respond? to that would, sure, let's respond. Let's take one item at a time. So CODS.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to just point out here, the main purpose again for our winter maintenance operations is to plow the roads and make sure that they're at minimum maintenance standards. The mailboxes essentially are on municipal property as encroachments, and the purpose of the policy here is just to acknowledge that if someone wants to put something very decorative, ultimately it is going to take a beating from the snow that's being thrown at it. And really the recommendation is to have something that is more practical and is going to last longer. So if someone chooses to go above and beyond for something decorative and luxury, they have to acknowledge the scenarios that are going to come to play with regard to snow removal and the impact that's going to have on that mailbox. And that's why the recommendation is to keep it simple with regard to the township repairing or replacing it with something that's going to be durable, or otherwise just the monetary compensation for something similar.
Okay, so we'll continue. I'll move on to Councillor Glinski, and then we'll continue hearing all the different feedback. This is just a general discussion to start. Councillor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, there's another scenario. This hasn't happened in a little while, but a few years ago, the common thing to happen is somebody driving along the side of the road with a baseball bat and taking out all the mailboxes. Now, what happens in that kind of a situation? It's not the owner's fault.
Oh, your insurance company.
What's that?
Oh, insurance. Through you, Madam Mayor. In a situation like that, I mean, it would be up to our investigation from our roads crew to determine kind of what was the root cause. At the end of the day, if it was smashed with a baseball bat, it would be there would not be evidence that it had been struck by a plow. The plow damage is usually pretty clear to those who know what they're looking for. Like, you've got a leading edge of a giant steel blade moving at 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. It does a pretty good job of shearing those posts. Whereas you wouldn't really get that with the typical act of vandalism or the weight of the snow. That's one of the ways you can usually tell. Snow, when it hits it, you can also tell because it's usually caked and covered with snow and laying off in the ditch, like embedded in the snowbank. So we're not looking to necessarily address those vandalism acts. Unfortunately, that would have to be something that they'd have to look at their insurer or reporting to the police if it was something egregious enough or continual. But for the most part, we're just right now just looking to more than anything formalize what we are currently doing.
Councillor Leach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am quite happy with the amount of compensation proposed. It is far and above the minimum that it would be required to replace with a plastic mailbox and a 4x4 post. How do residents determine whether they should, when they call or make their complaint, are they notified that this is an option and then choose to receive compensation? Or what kind of happens when a claim is made?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Leach. Currently, right now, when an individual calls in, the information is either taken by one of our very great and helpful customer service staff, or they are referred back to our website where there is an online form that does get completed for each instance. And what it basically does is it lays out the dates and times and all that base information. And on that form, it indicates our policy, and it provides them the option at that point to identify it. However, once we go and investigate all of these and kind of close that loop with each individual property owner, and at that time, they can be given that option again, just to say, hey, we'll be out. Yes, we recognize we hit it. We're going to be out and we can replace it, or you can receive the compensation amount and do it yourself. Conversely, we would also call them to say, no, sorry, this is not a matter that is actually covered by our policy, and it's going to be up to you to replace on your own dime.
Thank you.
Okay, so possibly one option to try to keep, the policy simple and it could be that then the resident, let's say they do want something bigger or different, but they don't have the ability, because I'm thinking from an accessibility, like not everybody has the physical ability or the tools to actually replace the 4x4 post. So one suggestion that would come out of this policy as is then I get a replacement. And then perhaps I do the easier part of replacing just the mailbox. Like like if it were me, I'm thinking, okay, I'll take the township's mailbox. And then if I want to upgrade the mailbox itself, at least the hard part of removing the post, the broken one. And is that kind of how we would advise our residents to interpret this, that when given the choice and say, well, if you want something more, we can't install that for you, but you can do that later on your own? Because it seems to me the physical labor is worth a lot. And my second question is on timing. The policy, are we also able to commit to, from the moment they notify the township, are we able to commit to a timeline? Because it is an essential service. Like people really depend on their mail, and they may not be able to go into town to get their mail. So I don't know if you want to comment on that, and then I have Councillor Cerna and Councillor Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Those are some interesting points that we can definitely look into. I'll start with the commitment of time. That it can be very challenging, only because usually if we hit mailboxes, it's because it's pretty bad outside and the snow is flying, and we're going to have crews dedicated to road safety first. That being said, we're typically in and around the week-ish timeline by the time a report comes in, staff go and investigate it. We do keep stock of temporary mailboxes. So they're kind of built on their own little post pedestal. It's a bucket with concrete in it and a 4x4 sticking out of it with a mailbox on top that we will drop in locations where we have been advised that a mailbox has been wiped out. And so I can talk to staff to see a little bit if we can tighten up a time frame a little better.
Just to manage expectations, because if we say nothing, there could be the expectation that it should be tomorrow. There could be, so I think it might facilitate communication.
Yep, no, for sure, I agree. And then the concept of post only compensation, I could see there being some nuance there that might cause a little bit of concern. I mean, what I don't necessarily want is to go and replace a post and then just peel the mailbox off and then put your green plastic decorative cover over top of it. That is an option. What we ultimately don't want is for Malahide tax dollars to be paying for the over and above what the minimum requirement is by Canada Post to be able to receive mail. The fact remains that, I appreciate some of the beautiful ones that are out there. There's very entertaining and clever ones. There's all kinds. But when you boil it down to it, staff are kind of the opinion that, if it meets the base needs, that's what we're looking to do, not to get into having to worry about one person's costing $500 versus another's being $32.
And sorry, I didn't mean to imply that. I thought maybe it's almost having three options. So you get the township kit installed, you get the post only plus $50, or you get 125 and that's it. So I agree with you. We don't want to get involved and say, well, you give me your mailbox, I'll install it. So it's like, no, just three options, all in, post only, or all cash. To maybe to try to give support to those who are maybe in the middle, but then we don't get involved if they want their own mailbox.
Yep. Just through you, Madam Mayor, on that note, we'll crunch some numbers. We can definitely do that. My initial thought is going to be we're not going to see a big difference. You're going to save the $40 of the mailbox, but at the same time, there's the additional labor cost to go do the post removal. That is the more challenging of the aspects that our staff do, is having to pull that 4x4 out and replace it and make sure it's compacted and all that. So, but we can definitely run some numbers and bring that back when we discuss this again with council, and then at least it gets everybody the information is out there.
Because you just named it. That is the most challenging part, is the post. So if we're responsible as a township, we should help with the post. So Councillor Serna and then Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. I was just going to say the same thing. I don't know what equipment the township uses to dig a hole, but all these roads in the township used to be gravel at one time. And when you go to dig a hole beside that, where the mailbox goes, you're digging old gravel, and it's harder than heck to do that. And it takes, I'm watching my words. It's harder than heck to do that, and it takes you forever. Where the township comes, they got an auger that's jute, and they're done. The other thing, and I'm going to argue this till I'm blue in the face, if I got a $60 or $75 mailbox up there, and the township comes and wipes it out and tries to come and replace it with a $30 mailbox and says, well, that's all Canada Post says you need. No, I spent some money. I put a good, nice mailbox up there, and you guys wiped it out. And I can prove that I spent that kind of money on it. I expect that gets replaced with what I put up there. You don't wipe out a decent mailbox and give me something a little piddly to put back up there. And I've got neighbors that got nice mailboxes, and they've been up there for years, since Moby Dick was a minnow. And all of a sudden I got to put up with somebody wiping my mailbox out, and then I got this little $30 piddly thing, and then I got to go dig gravel and put a $4 or 4x4 up there myself. No, I don't agree with that. There's got to be some middle of the road thing that, makes everybody happy. If you got a crappy mailbox, cut myself.
So thank you for that.
I know.
think
Cut me off.
That was the point that you made earlier, so I appreciate that. And I think staff have noted the quandary that we have. Councillor Wilson?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I called CAO Diaz about this particular problem before I knew it was coming on the agenda. My mailbox and Mom and Dad's both got taken out just this past snowfall, slushy, whatever. My plastic mailbox has a dent on that angle, and it just sheared the screws off. So the guys, tomorrow, I'm going to the drilling convention. They've got make work projects. They're going to remount the screws in my mailbox. So yeah, it got dinged and I got to pay guys to replace it, but it's not even $50 for that one. Mom and Dad's, that twisted off the 4x4, but their mailbox is 1/4-inch plate, so it doesn't do anything to it. It just twisted the 4x4. So my two instances are going to be way less than any of the compensation. So I think what you're proposing is a good middle of the road, because I don't want to pay $500 for someone's extravagant mailbox. And also if it's a, twist off a 4x4 and it's going to be about $50 to replace that one for me, I'm guessing. Time I pay them and 4x4. So I don't want to overdo it, but I like the third option of the here's just for the mailbox is fine and it's just for the 4x4. I like that 3 option thing.
Any other input? Councillor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, did I miss what's going to happen with the frozen ground and the post gets sheared off? Even when I was capable, I wouldn't have been able to put it back. Does the township have something that they can just go zip and the hole is there and the post is in?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Our guys are pretty good at not wanting to have to dig frozen ground. So they've got a pretty good system of being able to extract the 4x4, even though it is underground, being able to attach onto that and pull it out with a backhoe. And typically, in frozen conditions, you don't get any settlement. So we're usually able to slide the new 4x4 right back in that exact same hole. So that's most frequently what happens in those cases. There are instances where you could run into other issues and we might have to run out there with an auger and auger in a new hole. But it is actually surprising, not just with mailboxes, but with many, many other wooden signposts on 4x4s, how frequently you can pull one out and get the other one in there quickly and not have any issues.
Okay, good discussion. Anything else that do you have sufficient input to consider some revisions? Do you wish to bring it back to committee of the whole? Or do you have enough input to provide a revised draft for council to consider?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think with this, we could likely provide a new draft with, even if it needs some edits at the next time we sit down to discuss that. One other thing, I guess, that hasn't been addressed, yes, was the grandfathering potential of those who might have had their mailbox run over as recently as last week. And right away we're on, I'll take the $30 compensation. Would there be any appetite to look at increasing that in in fairness for this winter season? It would be my suggestion that if we went down that road, it would be applied to the entirety of the 2025-2026 winter control season, which we define as November 15th to April 15th. If it happened in that period, that could be something to look at. Alternatively, we could look at implementing this effective the 26-27 winter season, meaning everything that happened basically from this fall forward, just to look at an effective date, because I could see that being a conversation point for some residents who have recently been through this issue.
Members of the committee want to comment on that? I think based on the fact that we're looking at 2014, I feel like the onus is on us that we should have a policy renewal like that is more regular than 12 years. So I think to make it retroactive to this season, like you said, November 15th, is the fair thing to do, because really we should have been on a more regular cycle of review to index some of these fees. They're not fees, but reverse. Councillor Leach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you're on page 87. There's the year total claims chart. Is 2026 like from January 1st on, or is that the full 25-26 winter control season?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So unfortunately, those are not by winter control season. Those are by calendar year. Which you can kind of see that you can recognize that we've had a bigger winter this past winter because the sheer number of instances has gone up.
So in the 50, there is likely some that were in last year's season, but also probably a good number of the 50 that you have for 2025 that are in fact this winter control season. It might be an interesting idea to track both, to be able to report like winter control season statistics for future. Councillor Wilson?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think we're just opening up a can of worms to do anything retroactive. I know we haven't looked at the policy for a while, but going back now to go through all these, I think it's gonna just be quite a pain, and I don't mind whatever my concerns are. It's like, I think this from here forward, I don't want to muddy any waters there with my vote.
Right, so staff has heard different point of view, so then we can leave that with you. I see Deputy Mayor Widner, you wanted to comment, and also comment from CODS and Director Godby.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'd probably agree with Councillor Wilson. I mean, there's a date in life to everything. There's a date in life to your insurance. There's a date in life to bills. Somewhere you have to create a date that it goes and moves on. Yeah, going back would be great, but I don't know what it would cost us. And I just want to make sure we're not making this too complicated. It's going to be a lot of staff time over this. I guess our mandate is get you back in business, get a mailbox up. And if you don't like the $30 box, then you put it on Facebook like they do the garbage bag tags. We have a lot of them for sale, so you can deal with it yourself. But I'm glad we're going to have a policy. And I know I've spoken to you about the gravel on the lawns and other things like that. So there's lots of concerns this year because it was a big winter. But I'm glad we're having a policy and getting it over with. And I mean, I was involved with a mailbox was worth $2,000 one time. We don't replace those, sorry. I mean, you bought, it was laser cut, beautiful, fancy mailbox, but that's sometimes just the hazards of putting it out by the road. So if that could get stolen too, but I'd like to see us move forward with this.
COD, you good? Any further comments, Director Godby?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had one other, as we were sitting here and talking about, the fact that the fee had not been revised in so long. One way to address that moving forward could be not to hard code the fee into the actual bylaw, but we could change that section of the bylaw that references the compensation amount to reference the current year's user fee bylaw. And then each year as part of our user fee bylaw, we could have a line in there somewhere where we can material adjust those inputs year over year, and council would see that every time at budget time. Then we're not worried about a dollar value being enshrined in bylaw, but then we have at least the process is properly laid out in bylaw and then referred to a fee chart. So if that is of interest to council, we can have that change easily made.
Yeah, I think that's sort of, where I was heading. It's like, it's not a fee, it's the reverse of a fee, but it belongs in that chart where it gets an annual review. Councillor Cerno?
Thank you. Just one quick point. We're talking about when to start this and when not to. It just seems a little funny to me that this has probably been one of the worst winters we've had in a long time. And we don't want to go retroactive to this winter. We want to start next year. And we haven't had a winter like this in a long time. So I think, in all fairness, this is probably, we should go back to November this year because we haven't had a winter like this in a long time. And whatever it costs, I mean, these people, they went through a lot. We haven't seen numbers like this in a long time. So that's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you for all that input. Like I said, good discussion. So yes, this has been brought forward because of the winter in the instances. Councillor Leach?
Thank you. So anyone who in this last winter control season has had the benefit of the $180 replacement, anyone who has opted for compensation, which by this chart would be between 10 and 14, has not had that same benefit. Just making the point.
That's why we have wonderful staff who can crunch the numbers and just do that comparison. And ultimately, we want to be, I mean, it's the same principles as always. We want to be reasonable and equitable and respect issues of access. And so thank you in advance for the considering all the input that you heard this evening. So for now, then the committee can consider a recommendation that we have for council and for staff.
That report number PW 2611 entitled Mailbox Policy be received, and that the committee recommend that staff revise the mailbox policy and return it to council for approval.
Or you could say bring it to council, since it will be the first time that council will view it. So excellent way to summarize all that. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Great work. And that was it for Committee of the Whole, so we can move out of committee, please.
Resolve that we move out of Committee of the Whole and reconvene the regular council meeting.
Mover and seconder. Please, Councillor Leach moves. Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? The motion is carried. And this brings us to correspondence. So are there any items that need to be pulled out with a motion for support? And again, a reminder that generally speaking, correspondence is here for information unless there is specific action required by council. Is there anything that needs to be acted upon? Deputy Mayor Widner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Number 13, the Township of Rideau Lake concerns of the Alto High-Speed Rail Project. When you read that, farmland's under attack in Ontario, and this is just another big attack that'll take a lot of land up. And when you read some of their concerns about wildlife and everything, it's no different than windmills. I mean, there's going to be a lot of animals interrupted and a lot of farmland, and it's just, if we don't stand up for farmland, nobody else is going to. So it's going to be a lot of land, a lot of interruption, a lot of roads will be changed. So we're having that in our own area. So I think we should support others.
Director Guppy, you had a comment on that?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, not on that. On correspondence item number 6, the North Shore Resilience Project open houses. Just a reminder, they are taking place next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's an afternoon session and an evening session, one in Port Rowan, one in Port Stanley, one in Rodney. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, and the question was asked, was there a presentation? No, there is not. It is purely an open house drop-in style. So, if you can't make it there for 3 o'clock, that doesn't matter. You show up at 4:30, that's totally fine.
And for anyone who cannot attend at all because of the dates, the materials could be shared, or I think they have a webpage.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I believe the materials will be posted to the webpage. I don't know if they are posted as of yet, but the North Shore Resilience website does contain all of the meeting minutes and all the published information that they do have that anyone can look up at any time. And the staff there are very happy and helpful to try and walk people through what they're up to.
Thank you for that. Anything else on correspondence? And we'll proceed with the resolution.
That item 15 be supported and that remaining items be noted and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Surna moves. Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And we have one item in closed session, so we can have a resolution to move into closed.
The council move into closed session at 8:51 PM pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as amended to discuss the following closed meeting minutes of March 5th, 2026 and a labor relations or employee negotiation matter relating to the Corporate Services Department staffing, section 239(2)E.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Lewis moves. Counselor Surna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Welcome back. We're ready to come out of closed session. The resolution, please.
The council move out of closed session and reconvene at 9:20 in order to continue with its deliberations and that the March 5th, 2026 closed meeting minutes be adopted and that there is nothing further to report.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Surna moves. Counselor Leach seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And now the confirmatory bylaw, please.
The bylaw number 2618 being a confirmatory bylaw be given first, second, and third reading and properly signed and sealed.
Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Leach moves. Counselor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried and adjournment.
The council adjourned its meeting at 9:21 PM to meet again on April 2nd, 2026 at 7 PM.
Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Widner moves. Counselor Surna seconds. It's been a long meeting. Motion is carried. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.